Welcome to Mindfuel Audio, your destination for powerful, motivational, and intellectual audiobooks designed to fuel your mind and elevate your life. Today, we dive into a timeless masterpiece that has transformed millions of lives around the globe, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book isn't just a guide to building better relationships, it's a blueprint for personal success and leadership. First published in 1936, its principles remain as relevant today as ever, teaching us how to connect with others authentically, inspire trust, and create lasting influence in both personal and professional relationships. Stay tuned as we unpack the timeless wisdom of this groundbreaking book, one principle at a time, to help you unlock your potential and cultivate meaningful connections. This is Mindfuel Audio. Let's begin. Part 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. Introduction to Part 1. Human relationships are the cornerstone of success in life and business. Dale Carnegie emphasizes that understanding and influencing others begins with mastering a few fundamental principles. He draws from psychology, real-world anecdotes, and historical examples to illustrate how these techniques can transform interactions. Each principle underscores the idea that respect, empathy, and tact are crucial in fostering meaningful relationships. Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Criticism, Carnegie argues, is futile and often counterproductive. When we criticize someone, we attack their pride and invite resentment. He supports this idea by referencing the writings of psychologists and the real-world failures of authoritarian leaders who alienated their followers through criticism. Why people resist criticism? Humans are inherently defensive about their actions. We justify our mistakes to preserve our self-esteem, often rationalizing behavior even when it is objectively wrong. Carnegie demonstrates this through historical examples, such as Al Capone, who saw himself as a public benefactor despite his criminal acts. The lesson here is that no one believes they are entirely in the wrong, so criticism only serves to deepen resistance. What to do instead? Instead of criticizing, Carnegie advocates for understanding and empathy. Look beyond the behavior and consider the circumstances or motivations behind it. He offers examples of employers and parents who changed others' behaviors through encouragement rather than harsh words. Practical application. Parenting example: a father refrained from scolding his child for failing a test and instead showed understanding of the child's difficulties, leading to improved performance. Business example: leaders who commend their employees' efforts rather than chastising them for errors create environments of trust and improvement. The result: by avoiding criticism, we maintain relationships and influence behavior positively. People respond better to praise and constructive feedback than to censure. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Everyone craves recognition and appreciation, Carnegie explains. By genuinely appreciating others, we fulfill their emotional need for validation, creating goodwill and stronger connections. The power of appreciation. Appreciation is distinct from flattery. While flattery is shallow and self-serving, genuine appreciation is rooted in sincerity and focuses on specific qualities or contributions. Carnegie recounts stories of how leaders like Charles Schwab used appreciation to motivate workers and increase productivity. Examples in practice. Workplace example: Schwab would visit his steel mills, complimenting workers for their skills and efforts. This not only boosted morale but also inspired greater dedication. Historical insight: the story of Andrew Carnegie erecting a monument to his employees who made his success possible shows the lasting impact of recognizing others. How to practice appreciation. Observe and recognize the efforts and qualities of those around you. Express appreciation specifically and sincerely. Vague compliments have little effect. Avoid the temptation to offer insincere praise, as it can damage trust. The impact. Sincere appreciation fosters loyalty, strengthens relationships, and enhances mutual respect. When people feel valued, they are more likely to collaborate and reciprocate goodwill. Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. To influence others, Carnegie suggests, we must focus on their desires rather than our own. By understanding and appealing to what others want, we can inspire action and cooperation. Understanding motivation. People act in their self-interest, whether in personal or professional contexts. Carnegie advises us to identify the other person's goals and frame our requests or ideas in ways that align with those goals. Examples of effective influence. Salesmanship example. A salesman focuses on how his product can benefit the customer rather than listing its features. Negotiation scenario. Instead of demanding a raise, an employee might demonstrate how their increased responsibilities contribute to the company's success, making a raise a logical conclusion. Techniques to arouse an eager want. Ask questions. What does the other person want or value? Frame your message. Present your idea in terms of benefits to them. Be specific. Offer clear, relatable reasons that resonate with their goals. The outcome. This principle not only achieves immediate results but also builds a foundation of trust and mutual benefit. By helping others achieve their desires, we position ourselves as allies rather than adversaries. Part 2: 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Introduction to Part 2. Carnegie emphasizes that building strong, genuine relationships is a cornerstone of personal and professional success. He introduces 6 actionable principles designed to help anyone become more likable, fostering trust, rapport, and goodwill. These principles are rooted in authenticity and a deep understanding of human nature, making them timeless tools for meaningful connections. Principle 1: Become genuinely interested in other people. Humans are naturally drawn to those who show genuine interest in them. Carnegie explains that people value feeling heard and appreciated, and by focusing on others, we can build rapport effortlessly. Why genuine interest matters. Carnegie highlights the universal human desire to feel important. When you take a sincere interest in someone, you validate their worth and establish a foundation of trust. He warns against feigned interest, as insincerity is often easily detected. Examples of genuine interest. Historical anecdote. Theodore Roosevelt was known for studying the interests of his guests before meetings. By discussing topics they cared about, he endeared himself to countless individuals. Everyday example. A shopkeeper who remembers a customer's preferences fosters loyalty and goodwill. How to cultivate genuine interest. Ask questions, learn about others' hobbies, aspirations, and values. Be present, give your full attention in conversations. Avoid distractions or multitasking. Follow up, show you care by remembering and revisiting past conversations. The result. When people feel valued and understood, they are more likely to like and trust you. Building genuine interest lays the groundwork for lasting relationships. Principle 2: Smile. A simple smile is one of the most powerful tools in building rapport. Carnegie describes it as a universal gesture of warmth, approachability, and positivity. The psychological impact of a smile. A smile not only uplifts the person who receives it but also benefits the giver. It triggers positive emotional responses, making interactions more pleasant and memorable. Carnegie likens a smile to sunshine. It lights up a room and dispels negativity. Examples of smiling in action. Business example. A receptionist who greets clients with a warm smile creates a welcoming first impression, improving customer satisfaction. Personal anecdote. Carnegie shares a story of a salesperson who doubled his success rate simply by smiling more during interactions. How to practice smiling. Cultivate a positive attitude. Smiles should stem from genuine feelings of goodwill. Make it habitual. Practice smiling when greeting others, even in casual encounters. Observe the effect. Notice how others respond to your smile. It reinforces its importance. The outcome. A smile communicates friendliness and openness, making others feel at ease and more inclined to like you. Principle 3: Remember that a person's name is the sweetest sound to them. Using someone's name in conversation is a simple yet profound way to create a personal connection. Carnegie emphasizes that a person's name is a key part of their identity, and hearing it used respectfully fosters familiarity and trust. Why names are important. People associate their names with their sense of self. Using a name shows attentiveness and respect, while forgetting or misusing it can feel dismissive or disrespectful. Examples of name usage. Networking scenario: repeating someone's name during introductions helps establish rapport. Famous example: Carnegie shares the story of a leader who memorized the names of hundreds of employees, earning their admiration and loyalty. Tips for remembering names. Active listening: focus on the name when it is introduced. Association techniques: link the name to a memorable trait or visual cue. Repetition: use the name multiple times in conversation to reinforce memory. The impact. Using someone's name thoughtfully creates a sense of familiarity and respect, making interactions more personal and engaging. Principle 4: be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. Listening attentively is a rare skill, but it is vital for building meaningful connections. Carnegie explains that most people are more interested in being heard than in hearing others, making a good listener a valuable companion. The art of listening. Active listening involves more than hearing words, it requires genuine curiosity and engagement. When you listen well, you validate the speaker's experiences and emotions. Examples of listening in action. Social example: at a party, someone who asks thoughtful questions and listens attentively becomes the most popular guest. Professional context: a manager who listens to employee concerns fosters a supportive and productive work environment. How to improve listening skills. Avoid interrupting, let the speaker finish their thoughts before responding. Ask open-ended questions, encourage elaboration and deeper conversation. Show nonverbal cues, nod, maintain eye contact, and provide affirming gestures. The reward. Good listeners are often perceived as empathetic and wise, making them naturally likable. Principle 5: talk in terms of the other person's interests. People are most engaged when discussing topics they care about. By aligning your conversations with their interests, you can capture attention and build rapport. Understanding interests. Carnegie explains that identifying others' passions and discussing them demonstrates empathy and attentiveness. It shows you care about what matters to them. Examples of interest alignment. Sales example: a salesperson discussing the specific benefits a customer values rather than general features. Personal example: talking about a friend's favorite hobby deepens your connection with them. Practical steps. Research interests: learn about the person before your interaction. Adapt conversations, steer the dialogue toward their passions. Express genuine curiosity. Ask follow-up questions that show real interest. The benefit. Conversations centered around others' interests make them feel valued and deepen relationships. Principle 6: make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. The desire to feel important is universal. Carnegie stresses the importance of acknowledging others' contributions and making them feel valued. The science of importance. People's self-esteem is closely tied to how others perceive and treat them. By showing respect and appreciation, you uplift their sense of self-worth. Examples of sincere validation. Leadership example: a manager publicly praising an employee's achievements fosters motivation and loyalty. Historical insight: Carnegie cites figures like Abraham Lincoln, who was known for making even the humblest individuals feel significant. How to practice this principle. Be specific. Highlight specific qualities or actions that you admire. Be sincere, avoid empty flattery, focus on genuine attributes. Acknowledge contributions, show gratitude for others' efforts. The result. Making others feel important builds goodwill, trust, and admiration. Part 3: How to win people to your way of thinking. Introduction to Part 3. In Part 3, Dale Carnegie delves into the art of persuasion, outlining strategies to influence others without causing resentment. Carnegie emphasizes that the key to winning people over lies not in argument or force but in understanding their perspectives and appealing to their emotions and reasoning. The principles focus on fostering cooperation, respect, and goodwill. Principle 1: The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Carnegie begins with a bold assertion: no one wins an argument. Even if you prove someone wrong, you risk damaging the relationship. Arguments breed resentment and rarely change minds. Why arguments fail? When confronted, people instinctively become defensive, clinging to their views to protect their self-esteem. Winning an argument might satisfy your ego but often alienates the other person. Illustrative examples. Workplace example: a manager who debated a team member over a minor issue strained their professional relationship, despite being factually correct. Historical insight: Carnegie cites cases where diplomatic avoidance of arguments prevented conflicts from escalating. Alternatives to arguing. Seek understanding, listen to the other person's viewpoint without immediate judgment. Agree to disagree: sometimes, it's better to acknowledge differences and move on. Redirect the discussion, focus on common ground or shared goals. The result: avoiding arguments preserves relationships and encourages collaboration rather than hostility. Principle 2: Show respect for the other person's opinions, never say, "You're wrong." Telling someone they're wrong, even gently, triggers resistance and embarrassment. Carnegie advises approaching disagreements with tact and respect. Psychological basis. Humans naturally resist correction, especially when it challenges their self-perception. By avoiding direct contradiction, you keep discussions open and constructive. Examples in practice. Personal story: Carnegie recounts a dinner conversation where he avoided contradicting a guest's incorrect statement, instead steering the discussion to a harmonious resolution. Sales context: a salesperson who respects a client's objections rather than dismissing them builds trust and increases the likelihood of a sale. How to implement this principle? Acknowledge valid points, agree where possible to reduce defensiveness. Phrase corrections indirectly, use language like, "I may be wrong, but have you considered?" Focus on dialogue, frame the conversation as a mutual exploration of ideas. Impact. Respecting opinions fosters open communication and positions you as approachable and thoughtful. Principle 3: If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Carnegie highlights the power of humility. Admitting your mistakes disarms criticism and garners respect. The power of admission. Owning up to errors demonstrates integrity and maturity. It shifts the tone of interactions, making others more forgiving and cooperative. Examples of successful admission. Leadership scenario: a CEO who admitted a poor business decision earned admiration from employees for their transparency. Personal anecdote: Carnegie shares how quickly admitting fault in a parking ticket dispute led to a lenient resolution. Practical steps. Be prompt, address mistakes as soon as you recognize them. Be genuine, avoid excuses or half-hearted admissions. Offer solutions, show commitment to rectifying the situation. Benefits. Admitting fault strengthens trust, diffuses tension, and often earns goodwill. Principle 4: Begin in a friendly way. The tone of a conversation sets the stage for its outcome. Carnegie emphasizes that starting with warmth and friendliness encourages cooperation. Why friendliness works. People are more receptive to positive, friendly approaches than to hostility or indifference. A warm demeanor lowers defenses and fosters openness. Examples of friendly beginnings. Negotiation example: a salesperson who begins with casual, friendly banter finds it easier to transition into the pitch. Historical anecdote: Abraham Lincoln's habit of starting letters with kind words diffused potential conflicts. How to cultivate friendliness. Smile and greet warmly, make a positive first impression. Show interest, ask about the other person's well-being or interests. Maintain a positive attitude, avoid letting negativity seep into the interaction. The outcome. Starting in a friendly way sets a collaborative tone, making it easier to resolve issues or gain agreement. Principle 5. Get the other person saying yes, yes, immediately. Carnegie introduces the Socratic method of leading with questions that the other person will agree with. This tactic builds momentum toward consensus. The psychology of agreement. When people start saying yes, they are more likely to continue agreeing. It establishes a pattern of cooperation rather than resistance. Examples in practice. Customer service. A representative asks a series of simple, agreeable questions to ease a customer into a resolution. Conflict resolution. A mediator begins by focusing on shared goals, eliciting agreement from both sides. Steps to use this technique. Identify common ground. Start with points both parties agree on. Ask positive questions, phrase inquiries to elicit affirmative responses. Build toward agreement. Gradually introduce your perspective once rapport is established. Impact. This technique fosters a sense of alignment, making it easier to guide the conversation toward your desired outcome. Principle 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Carnegie argues that people are more receptive to your ideas if they feel heard first. Why listening is powerful. When others have the opportunity to express themselves, they feel valued and understood. It also provides insights into their thoughts and motivations. Examples of effective listening. Sales scenario. A successful salesperson listens to a client's needs before presenting a tailored solution. Personal story. Carnegie recalls a situation where letting a disgruntled acquaintance vent diffused their frustration. How to encourage talking. Ask open-ended questions, prompt detailed responses. Be patient, avoid interrupting or rushing the speaker. Reflect and summarize, show you've understood by paraphrasing key points. The reward. Listening builds trust, uncovers valuable information, and lays the groundwork for influence. Part 4. Be a leader, how to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Introduction to Part 4. This section focuses on the delicate art of leadership, guiding others toward change without triggering defensiveness or resentment. Dale Carnegie emphasizes empathy, respect, and tact as the cornerstones of effective leadership. These principles empower leaders to inspire improvement while preserving relationships. Principle 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. Carnegie advises starting every critique or suggestion with positive feedback. Recognizing someone's strengths before pointing out areas for improvement softens criticism and motivates change. The psychology behind praise first. Starting with praise boosts morale and shows respect, making the person more receptive to feedback. Carnegie emphasizes that honest appreciation builds trust and goodwill, forming the foundation for constructive dialogue. Examples of this principle in action. Workplace scenario. A manager begins a performance review by acknowledging an employee's dedication and achievements before addressing areas for improvement. Personal context. A parent praises a child's efforts in school before suggesting ways to improve their grades. How to practice this principle. Identify specific qualities or achievements to commend. Ensure your praise is genuine and not overly exaggerated. Transition into feedback with empathy and tact. The result. Leading with praise encourages openness to constructive criticism and fosters a positive atmosphere for growth. Principle 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Direct criticism often triggers defensiveness, while subtle suggestions encourage reflection without resistance. Carnegie advocates using indirect methods to address mistakes tactfully. Why indirect feedback works. When feedback is framed subtly, it allows the recipient to maintain their dignity. This approach avoids confrontation and makes the person more likely to self-correct. Examples of indirect feedback. Professional example. Instead of saying, "You're late again," a leader might say, "We've been starting meetings promptly at 9 a.m., and it really helps when everyone is on time." Educational context. a teacher says, let's review how we can better prepare for quizzes, rather than singling out students for poor performance. How to apply indirect feedback. Use inclusive language like we or let's to frame suggestions. Focus on the desired behavior rather than the mistake. Provide constructive alternatives. Benefits. Indirect feedback preserves relationships and encourages self-improvement without resentment. Principle 3, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Carnegie suggests leaders admit their own shortcomings before pointing out others' faults. This approach demonstrates humility and fosters mutual understanding. The power of shared fallibility. Acknowledging your own mistakes humanizes you and reduces the recipient's defensiveness. It shifts the conversation from blame to collaboration. Illustrative examples. Leadership example, a CEO recounts their own struggles with time management before addressing an employee's tardiness. Parenting example, a parent shares a story of their own academic challenges before discussing a child's school performance. Steps to implement this principle. Reflect on similar challenges you faced. Share your experiences honestly and concisely. Transition into constructive suggestions with empathy. Impact. This principle builds rapport, reduces resistance, and creates a supportive environment for growth. Principle 4, ask questions instead of giving direct orders. Carnegie advocates replacing commands with questions to encourage collaboration and empowerment. Why questions work? Questions give the recipient a sense of autonomy and involvement. They inspire ownership and creativity in problem solving. Examples of asking questions. Workplace scenario, instead of saying, fix this report, a manager asks, how can we make this report more comprehensive? Household example, a parent asks, what do you think we can do to keep the house tidy, instead of demanding chores be done? Practical applications. Use open-ended questions to encourage dialogue. Focus on solutions rather than directives. Listen actively to responses. The outcome. This approach fosters cooperation and motivates others to take initiative. Principle 5, let the other person save face. Carnegie highlights the importance of preserving others' dignity during critiques or conflicts. Humiliating someone can cause lasting resentment, while protecting their self-esteem fosters goodwill. Understanding face saving. Saving face means allowing someone to maintain their pride, even when they've made a mistake. Carnegie notes that tactful handling of sensitive situations strengthens relationships. Examples of saving face. Conflict resolution, instead of publicly reprimanding an employee, a leader discusses the issue privately and frames it as a learning opportunity. Social example, politely correcting a friend's mistake in private rather than pointing it out in a group. How to save face. Avoid public criticism or embarrassment. Frame feedback positively and constructively. Highlight the person's potential for improvement. Benefits. This principle fosters trust and respect, preventing resentment and preserving relationships. Principle 6, praise every improvement, no matter how small. Carnegie emphasizes the power of encouragement. Recognizing even minor progress motivates continued effort and builds confidence. The psychology of praise. Small achievements often go unnoticed, but acknowledging them reinforces positive behavior. It shows the person that their efforts are valued. Examples of encouragement. Educational context. A teacher praises a student for participating in class discussions, encouraging further engagement. Workplace example, a manager commends an employee for improving punctuality, even if it's only by a few minutes. How to practice this principle. Be specific about what you're praising. Focus on effort and progress rather than perfection. Use praise to inspire further improvement. The outcome. Frequent, sincere praise boosts morale and reinforces positive change. Principle 7, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Carnegie suggests framing feedback in terms of the recipient's potential and strengths. By highlighting their capabilities, you inspire them to meet high expectations. How this principle works. People often rise to meet the expectations others set for them. Highlighting their strengths motivates them to live up to that positive image. Examples in action. Professional scenario, a manager says, "You've always been detail-oriented, so I'm confident you'll excel in this project." Parenting example, a parent tells their child, "You're such a kind and helpful person, I know you'll make the right choice." Practical application. Emphasize strengths when providing feedback. Use positive reinforcement to inspire self-confidence. Frame challenges as opportunities to demonstrate their best qualities. The reward. This approach builds confidence and motivates others to excel. As we conclude how to win friends and influence people, we reflect on the timeless wisdom Dale Carnegie shared to transform relationships, leadership, and personal influence. The principles in this book aren't just about becoming more persuasive or popular, they're about fostering genuine human connections, earning trust, and uplifting others to bring out the best in them. From mastering fundamental interpersonal techniques to inspiring change with empathy and tact, this guide offers a roadmap to becoming a more compassionate and impactful individual. At Mindfuel Audio, our mission is to bring life-changing insights like these directly to you, empowering your journey of growth, connection, and self-discovery. Just as this book equips you to create meaningful bonds and lead with integrity, our content is designed to fuel your mind with ideas that inspire action and elevate your thinking. The lessons from Carnegie's masterpiece serve as a reminder that personal growth and the ability to positively influence others are lifelong endeavors. By applying these principles in your everyday life, you not only improve your relationships but also contribute to a kinder, more collaborative world. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of human connection and influence. At Mindfuel Audio, we're here to continue inspiring and supporting you with insights that ignite change and fuel your potential. Let's keep the journey alive, one thought-provoking story at a time.